the way our educational system, the way our monetary system is all established in a way, if you don't have as much as the other, or depending on how what kind of car you have, how big is your house, those sort of material um, qualities or qualifications that give you a right to have a word, or to have a say, or you know what I mean? I think that's the thing that's been building for so long, that it came to this point that it's on every level now. Doesn't matter even if you're in the bottom part of the economic structure, even amongst even amongst, I guess, us, we're down here too. But I don't know. I kind of see myself as I'm in it, but I'm I just feel sovereign in terms of my beingness. I just don't. It's hard for me to even get so sucked into those kinds of ignorant kind of behavioral patterns and so on. But it exists, and so yeah, I feel like like this perspective you just drew just now was quite nice, and that's kind of like the optimistic point of view that I live from.
It's funny. It's the way you're painting it. For me, it's inclusive versus exclusive.
Hmm.
And I know I do some D&I work, right? It's so cliche, diversity and inclusion. And what I've come to know that to be is, um, it's as I kind of distill it, are we including people? Are we including, I mean, everybody to some extent in a democratic process, allowing them to cast their opinion? Or are we creating a paradigm of exclusivity, just like as you say, it's the power, right? Power wants to keep its power. And of course, power doesn't want inclusivity, because that dilutes a component of call it power is like greatness. It's back to oppressiveness, or the energy of putting somebody else down, right? It's overpowering. So of course, power doesn't want inclusivity. So interesting perspective there.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely right.
And
It
then the
does.
key is what do we do about that?
But there's nothing we can do about it, because this is part of how the structure. This is how it works in the in the program, in the life, in the matrix, whatever we want to call it. But this is how it works. There's this tension, there's this struggle that's a part of it. It's and this is what keeps moving things along. It's a necessary negative. It's it's a necessary thing. To have this pitting against each other to move things along. This is, at least in this life that we're living in this particular time. Who knows what it will be in a million years from now? It's even crazy to even think that yet. But this is where we are, and we're still in this embryonic stage of our development. As a species, learning we're still dealing with racism. How to behave, how to respect each other. It's with gay rights and women's liberty and all of these things. It's just when we're still there. So it's crazy.
The
Um,
metaphor that came to me this morning, just to kind of back you up, because I just feel compelled to express it. I was just meditating this morning, and I was thinking of the concept of the polarity and the process, right? There are two primary parties, as we've talked about before, this side and that side, right? And they're polarized, and there's extremes on both sides, right? So there's this and this. And there are so many other issues and perspectives that create an essence of polarity, like the character of leadership, right? And people are polarized on this component of it and that component of it. There's fiscal policies, right? And people are polarized on this and this. And what I've realized, Richard, is that it's almost like you've got spokes in a wheel, that you got all these different aspects of polarity that are on opposite sides that keep the wheel together.
It's, it's,
Is that
yeah,
right? I mean, how does that
that's
strike you?
what I'm saying. You just said it, in a clearer way. But yes, it's exactly it. It's all necessary. It's all, it all has its place. So even that struggle that's going on, and in the craziness of it all, I was just having a conversation with my aunt, my dear aunt, and she was just going off about these negative things about Donald Trump, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I hear you, I see all of that, and at the same time, I even in the craziness and the evilness of it all, his presence and his place is actually it serves a really positive thing in a way. I mean, I'm not saying I want him back in office, but at the same time, it has a positive place. It stirs the whole thing up because where we were going before that, it was just completely insane. It was just, I mean, just being in New York City, the energy here was just so, I can't even find a word of how toxic it was, but it was extremely toxic. And upon this shift happening up and COVID-19 being this blessing in disguise in a way. It's in a negative sense. It has a positive effect. It really shut everything down in a sense where we can start just to look inward again. And in a way, it feels like it's a really good thing because it's just giving people the opportunity to really to relook at their life, to this new term that
I love that.
to really return back to your essence and your relationships the way it's giving us this opportunity as a collective, and not just here in America but around the entire planet, so it's a negative, it's a positive negative in that sense. And yes, I'm so happy that it happened now, because can you imagine if COVID wasn't happening and this race was happening, this presidential race? Could you just imagine what the scene would be like out there? Just think about that for a second.
Good point. Wow, and it's interesting that you brought that to light, because it's almost like back to the polarity. It's the good and the bad, whatever, the light and the dark, the yin and the yang. Without one, there really can't be another, right? And it's almost like, in life, from my perspective, I mean, I've been knocked down a lot. There's been a lot of failure. And as I reflect on this, I wouldn't be able to see the possibilities of success unless I got knocked down. It's almost like, the cliche of, how do you succeed? Well, you fail, but then you get back up again. You fail forward. And it's almost like every time that happens to me, I get a new perspective from a different angle, because I'm up here, right? And all of a sudden I'm down there. And then I open my eyes and I look up. It's like, hey, there's a different angle. And that new perspective, that different perspective, allows me to shift and adjust and be resilient. And without that being knocked down and that failure, I couldn't be in a position where I can succeed in a different way. Right?
Absolutely. It's just kind of how it works. We go back prior to this year, and we just go back, the prior years, and this kind of information that we're sharing and things about, things about talking about love, like you have Marianne Williamson, she speaks about love and the government, and all of those things. It's all considered this woo-woo, this nonsensical, that's just luxury, type of thinking. And now, we have, like, since COVID hits, and then we have the government and everything sort of like coming apart, which is part of the whole cycle, that we're coming to the end of the cycle. This is what must happen. But now, as it's happening, and it's really getting to people's pockets and their livelihood, and it's really making a tremendous impact in people's lives, where they really have to go inwardly and look and re-look at their relationships and their lives. It's giving them something that to really, like, wait a minute, all that woo-woo talk, but maybe it's something there's some significance in it, you know. So it's giving people this. They're seeking out the woo woo now. They're seeking out quote woo woo, you know, help.
Well, it's funny. Instead of woo-woo, possibilities, maybe, just to substitute the word woo-woo for possibilities and alternatives, right?
Absolutely, it's just a different way of seeing things, you know, as opposed to the homogenized way of like what's normal, what we consider to be normal, and that's homogenization. So yeah, people are. There's still a lot of people who don't see otherwise, but it's opening up, you know, and it's giving people more of an opportunity to really like look at other perspectives now and see what's out there. So yeah, it's a positive negative or negative positive.
Here's to being more open, I guess, right?
Sorry.
Here's to being more open.
Yeah, yeah.